made this homemade cutting tool. I'll do a video on that as well. Got a large 5/16 diameter easy wood carbide tip on it. It's counterweighted over on the back end. I saw somebody do that on a different type. Probably not necessary for this one. I may cut that off later. But anyway, so I'll do a video on that at another day. Getting dressed for the occasion. Alright, this is the first time I've ever used this tool as well, so, or any carbide tool for that matter. Let's see how this goes. Maybe I'll cut that out. Always check your tool rest to make sure that you have clearance. Better. That would really be heartbreaking if you were deeper into the vase, bowl, or whatever this is going to turn out to be. It's going to be kind of a mix. Honestly, I don't know what to call it. I know what shape I want to go for, but wow, yeah, if you did that when you got into your finishing area, that'd be a mess. That didn't feel good either, that stuff coming off of there. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? So I got a negative rake easy wood tool, and it made a big difference. Well, I went over it with a little bit of 120 grit sandpaper. You can see I've got a tenon shape down here on this end. Put some CA glue in some of the cracks. I'll read up on what to do with those. I guess I'm going to try to fill them with a little bit of resin. They're really not very big. The wood has already been stabilized too, so it should already be kind of glued together anyway. But fixing to be turning it around. Looks like a planet, doesn't it? I think I'm going to call it the World Bowl / vase. So maybe the World Vase. I don't know. We'll see. It's probably going to end up being pretty thick, so I don't think it's really going to be like a bowl. But we'll see. I don't know how well my tools will get in there. I don't really have a bowl gouge. first things first, let's I think I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the finish of the outside here before I flip it around. Alright, there it is with just sanding. I can't wait to get some polish on this thing. It's gonna look beautiful. Like I say, it really makes me think of a planet. I'm a space buff, so that really does it for me. But yeah, don't those look like oceans and clouds and then little bits of land, little continents or whatever? And so that's just 120 through 600 grit sandpaper, and then the end is just paper towels, which actually seems to do a lot. Just paper towels. Surprised. Anyway, it's still got some sanding needs to do on it. I need to do some cross sanding. You can see some lines. Sanding it crossways will take those out visually. See these lines right here. But also another thing that's kind of cool, there is a wire. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, it's right here. So I don't know if you can see that little bit of silver right there. Whenever I go across that with my tools, it sparks. And I noticed that there was another time I was sparking over here, and it's got some kind of metal in it. I don't have any idea what kind of stump this is either. If I had to guess, I would say Brazilian pepper. That's a lot darker looking than that. It could be some kind of a willow. I just found it on the side of the road. Somebody had thrown it out. I had just got my lathe, and I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos about how to do this, and I thought, I'm gonna stop and get that stump. I'm glad I did. Very, very glad I did. So I just got through hitting this with 1,000 grit sandpaper, kind of graduating up to 1,000 grit sandpaper. Repaired a few cracks here with thick CA. There were a couple of chips that felt like they were going to come out. I don't know if you could see that or not, but it felt like they were going to come out even of the acrylic or the epoxy. And I poured some CA in those too. Anyway, now it's time. I'm fixing to apply some sanding sealer. Got that at Home Depot, nothing expensive. Well, I think the can was 16 bucks, but that should last a very, very long time. So let's go. So this is the first time I've ever used sanding sealer. So if I'm doing it all wrong, feel free to leave that in the comments. Just gonna go with a generous application. And from what I understand about reading up on sanding sealer is that it fills kind of all of the micro voids and then leaves it with a semi-hard finish that actually sands easily. So that's why I'm going generous with this, so that it can get into the large voids. That already, man, that's starting to really pop, isn't it? It's looking beautiful. I'll tell you what, when I found this stump on the side of the road, I had high hopes, but honestly, this is surpassing what I had expected it might look like. Hopefully at some point in all of these steps that I'm recording, I don't blow it all up. Well, I hope that white fill of the sanding sealer doesn't stay white. We'll see. Maybe there's a reason I shouldn't have bought the cheap stuff. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry. We'll come back and lightly sand it and start with the polishing compounds. All right, that sanding sealer is dry, and I'm gonna hit it with some 1,000 grit sandpaper ever so lightly. Gotta hang on to that sandpaper. getting the powder off with the paper towel. Don't expect anything too spectacular just after the sanding sealer, but looks pretty nice actually. Alright, I'm going to go with some polishing compound. For that, another fairly inexpensive option. This is rubbing compound, turtle wax. I may find out why you don't want to use these less expensive options in the process of doing these bowls, but using this in place of Yorkshire and other Axe, things like that, that's just more expensive. I mean, this can was $9. Those other guys are about 25 in a considerably smaller amount. I'm sure they're good products. I'm doing this on a shoestring budget. You see I got a Harbor Freight lathe here. You probably noticed some of my tools are not real high-end, but I'm getting in here and I'm playing around and doing it. If I have fun, I'll invest a little bit more in it. Let's take a look, see what we got. Wow, you know, that's really looking pretty nice. I found this stump on the side of the road. I'm kind of beginning to think maybe it's a maple. Any of you guys online have a better guess at what it is? I originally thought maybe a Brazilian pepper, mainly just because of the size and the likelihood. There's a lot of Brazilian pepper here in this area. But yeah, that thing is really starting to look nice. My CA glue here got on there. You guys may not be able to pick that up in the camera, but there's a little bit of a blemish there. I'm going to hit it with one more coat of this polish, and then I'm going to go with the wax, but I'm going to do one more coat of polish. Pretty satisfied. So the last step, another fairly inexpensive product found at Home Depot. So this is beeswax and orange oil. I think this is a pretty good analog for what I see a lot of people using shine juice on. I polished up a little ring that we made earlier, my son and I, with it. I was satisfied with it, and I think this is gonna be my final coat on the outside, and then we'll start hollowing out the inside. Alright, just put a little bit of it on there, and you know what, I'm gonna do this at a slower speed so I can see what I'm doing here. Just get a good thick coat on it so that wax can work its way in to the wood anyway. I don't know if it's going to work its way into the epoxy or resin. I don't know if it's an epoxy or polyester or what. It's Alumilite Amazing Clear. It was not what I intended to buy, but so far I've been pretty happy with it. The only problem is it's a slow curing product, and I really wanted, I'm impatient, let's just put it that way. So I don't know if you can see that right there, but there was a little spot there where it wasn't soaked in. And I was thinking that maybe it wasn't gonna soak in, but it is. So I'm gonna continue to be liberal with this stuff. And like I said, just get a good thick coat all over everything. Try to get her soaking in. Then I'll buff it out, turn the lathe on, buff it out. Yeah, man, that's looking beautiful. And all three of these products were about the cost of one small can of that Yorkshire grit. Again, nothing against that. I've never used it. I'm sure it's great. I see some awesome projects on YouTube that people do with it, but it's pretty expensive, and this turtle wax seems to be doing the trick. Alright, let's kick it up. Get that wax heated up a little bit. Alright, this is gonna be what it's gonna be for the outside. Unless I decide to do some serious reworking. Which, you know what? I don't think is gonna happen. That's pretty. That is pretty. Let's see if I can find the nail. Or the wire. I think it's actually a wire. Actually runs right through here. You don't really stand out that much anymore. But it was sparking on my tools. That was a little aggravating on my brand new Easy Wood carbide tips. They did cut through it, and they wouldn't spark. But I'd try to hit it with my traditional tools, and they would spark quite a bit. Hey guys, that's pretty. I'm gonna get started on hollowing out the inside now. It really doesn't like that spot there where I gashed it. It wants to grab it. It's actually knocked it off of my chuck again, or at least out of center. It's far from coming off, but watch this whenever I get loose. Now, you saw that little bit of recentering it did. That's not my first tenon over here, but definitely not a pro level tenon maker. Still reading up on what to do and what not to do, but I don't think that's the problem. Alright, I may be going to go back to the negative rake again. Just get a little bit less grab in there. So there are quite a few cracks in here too. I'm hoping that doesn't I don't run into problems with that. I'm not going to go very thin on purpose with this, just a little scared, I guess, more than anything. But I want it hollowed out enough that it doesn't look like a bowling ball. I'm gonna go take an antacid and think about this for a little bit. Alright, I let about 2 days go by. I actually did another project because this one scared me. I'm gonna try to go ahead and get this thing hollowed out today. All right, let's start. Another item of note is there are some pretty gnarly cracks in here in the resin. Not sure what to think about that. This, I mean, I've never done this before, so I'm definitely not going to blame the resin arbitrarily. And I'm definitely having problems with keeping this thing on the chuck. See my mortise back here. I'm sorry, my tenon. You can see a little gap right in here. See that air gap right there? I chuck it up where that's not there, and then I turn for a little while. See, it's gone there now. Means my piece is not on there straight. Oh, you can see it really good there. Look how bad that is. My tenon, I mean, I got a dovetail tenon. Fits it pretty good, it looks like to me. Maybe some of you guys that do wood turning can tell me what I'm doing wrong. This wood just may be soft. I mean, I stabilized it. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know. Okay, so far I've been having the most luck with just this little scraper here. Just a cheesy, cheap scraper butt, just keeping it sharp. I think my Easy Wood tools are just already dull, which is a little disappointing for 17 bucks a pop. And I've been playing with it a little bit. I don't know how long they're supposed to last, but anyway. And now just getting in there with my fingernail gouge here. Pretty neat looking design. I got some cracks here. Gonna have to fill some soft spots. I'll probably put a coat of resin in here. So I stabilized this with Cactus Juice, but I did not get it all the way to the middle. Yeah, anyway, it is what it is. I'll get it fixed now, and then we'll see what she looks like. Alright, now the long process of sanding it up. I'm just taking advantage of these cracks in here filled with sawdust. Throw some CA glue in there, and at least they're filled up. It may not be the right color, but at least they're filled up. I'm going to want to sand fairly aggressive to get rid of that CA glue. Got a little bit on the outside here too. I'll have to do some finishing on the outside again. That's alright. Bowl needs a little love, I'll give it a little love. Nice. That's beautiful, actually. Alright, let's see how bad of an idea this is. I'm gonna go with bad. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay guys, so we started with a stump discarded on the side of the road, and believe it or not, this is what it turned into. Beautiful bowl, I don't know, vase, what would you call this? A bowl and a vase? I wouldn't go with a vase, I'd call it a vase. Something a little bit more panache. Maybe a vase, half bowl, half vase. I don't know. Anyway, you look at that character on the inside there. And I'm going to call this the World Bowl. Makes me think of a world with continents and ocean. It's a neat bowl. Honestly, this is my first resin, at least started out as my first resin and wood project. I made another one in the middle of this because I actually got rather intimidated by the way this was being held on, and had some, I don't know, just had to lay it down for a little bit and think about something else, try something a little bit simpler. I didn't record that, but I'll show a picture of it in the stills. Up next, if you guys want to like or subscribe, I've got some, this is maple. It's all full of wormholes. Maybe this piece over here, I don't know. Stuff is really flaky. You can just knock it off with your fingers. It's really, see that? I mean, it's coming apart. But anyway, we'll have to stabilize it and cast it in resin, the whole 9 yards, and maybe this will look really cool. If you're interested in that, seeing what it turns out like, subscribe. You'll see the next video when it comes out. Hit the reminder, little bell. Give us a thumbs up. And thank you very much for watching. The World Bowl come together from a stump on the side of the road.